Hi Kevin, Property Soldier here. I wanted to show you properties that I am actually selling, and in fact I've got the for sale sign out, and they're under offer, so they've been sold. And the reason why I'm selling them is because, in my opinion, they would not work that well as serviced accommodation. So I'm going to explain why not. I'm going to give you a little guided tour and show you why I don't want to keep these properties as serviced accommodation. So they were previously rentals, buy-to-let, single-lets, 2 flats. So I own the whole building, 2 flats in the building, and I got them back from tenants and decided, you know what, after doing my due diligence, I don't think they'll work that well as service accommodation. So what am I doing? Selling them. And all I will do is I will reinvest the money into properties that do work well as service accommodation, because that's how I'm going to make my money work best for me, because those properties are going to give me a much better rate of return than properties that don't work well as service accommodation or as single lets. And obviously with single lets, I'm affected by Section 24 because I own these properties in my own name. Most of my portfolio I own in my own name. So Section 24 is an issue as single let, and you've got tenants, so all the responsibility of having tenants, and there's a lot less cash flow from the property. So that's why these are being sold. Now, actually, last year, I'll just flick the camera around, the property on the corner there, the top flat on the corner, I actually sold that because it wouldn't have worked that well as service accommodation for various reasons, and so that was a single let, and I sold that one too. Okay, so let's have a little guided tour, if you like, and I'll give you my reasons for this. Now, it's on a roundabout. That's not a big issue, but one of the main issues is the parking situation here. So what we've got here is permit parking only, and I'll just zoom in on one of the restrictions that you've got. Try not to worry this lady too much. So you've got permit parking only, and what that means is that residents will get a parking permit, but it's not the sort of permit that you can give to your guests, because you know it's going to relate to a particular car, and even if it didn't, the guests are going to be leaving with it. You know, they're going to be driving off with them. That's going to be a complete nightmare pain. So all you'd end up with, even if you're telling guests that it's parking restrictions, and I think that one says 2 hours, no return within 2 hours. Okay, so even if you tell your guests that the parking restrictions are in place, they will still end up getting tickets, and you will get bad reviews, and you will get complaints, and all of those things. So that's not worth the hassle. The other thing that is particular to this property, that is, you know, I've owned this property since the mid-90s. Okay, so I've had it as a single let for 2 single lets for a long time, is this wall here. So this wall is, obviously you can see, it's a long old property, this one, and as you can imagine, it's nice and clean at the moment, but people who like doing graffiti think it's a great wall to graffiti, and it's probably a good job for them that I never caught them, because at times I've had to try and clean up their graffiti over the years. So in the end I had to paint anti-graffiti paint on the walls, and so the paint doesn't stick, and then when it rains it washes off, which is really, really expensive. Now, the other issue that this wall gives me is that it catches a lot of weather, and it's constantly needing maintenance in order to stop damp ingress getting in, because it's such a, you know, this is in Plymouth, and so it's not far away from the ocean, and an awful lot of weather comes in, and that wall is constantly costing me money. So ultimately decided to sell the property because of the ongoing maintenance, because of that wall. So you've got the parking issue, and that wall is another issue. So we're just going to go inside the property. The property inside would be fine. Okay, I'll just have a little just flick the camera around, so it would work perfectly well as SA inside. So this is obviously the ground floor. G'day. And you've got a courtyard area out there, and I'm actually storing I've never used this property as SA, but I'm just storing some SA furniture in it whilst it is going through the conveyancing. So we're in the, it's got, you know, a tidy bathroom. I presented it nicely just to sell it in the kitchen here. Yeah, okay, so let's flip this camera around. So the kitchen is fine as well. Nice big range and really small little bedroom, but it would work fine for SA. It would be a bit small as a bedroom for somebody living there full time, but for SA for a short period of time it would work absolutely fine. Now we'll go upstairs and I'll talk to you about the upstairs as well, just so you can understand my reasoning why I decided to sell these. Okay, so I'll flip the camera around again. Really nice big kitchen up here. Now, what I could have done, as you can see out there, I could have directed people around the back to park where there's no parking restrictions. But as you can see that road where white van just went, there's a car going now, I would have to be giving people directions down that road, and then I'd have to be telling them, okay, then turn left and turn left again and come up the lane, and that's where you should park. And people are going to be getting lost, and I'd be getting phone calls, or my team would be getting phone calls saying, where is it, I went the wrong way, etc, etc. And also, sometimes other people are parking and blocking the parking space there, and so that would become an issue, and you'd be having constant problems. So the way I see it is there's plenty of properties that work really well as service accommodation. You don't have to be trying to force things, you know, round peg, square hole. You don't have to force the issue with property. I'll show you this, these rooms here. So you've got a single bedroom there, which would be fine. A nice big room there, which is going to be a lounge or another bedroom. By the way, in that kitchen, you could have had a TV and a sofa in that kitchen area, and therefore you could have presented 3 rooms for use as bedrooms. And so internally, yeah, it works perfectly well as service accommodation, but it's those other factors that's made my decision, which is to sell these 2 apartments. So remember, there's lots of properties that work brilliantly well as service accommodation, but there are also lots of properties that don't. In fact, that is an example. You can see behind me the damp that's coming through. The damp that's coming through that pine end wall there. So it's, you know, the people that are buying the property know about the issues with damp, and that, you know, they've made me an offer and etc. And I've accepted that, but they're aware of those things. So, you know, it's sold as seen. So, yeah, there's lots of properties that work well as service accommodation, but there are lots that don't, and you've just got to do some logical thinking and just try and forward think on all of the different issues you might encounter if you were to use a property as service accommodation. And remember, guests, they might be from overseas, the English might not be their first language. You've just got to think what is extremely easy in terms of for people to understand. If anything is even mildly complicated, then your guests are not going to understand sometimes, and it's going to cause you problems, and we don't want problems. So hopefully you found that useful, everybody. If you're watching this video on YouTube, then click subscribe to see more videos, more content like that. Any questions, type them in the comment section. Give me a like if you found this useful, and I'll see you all soon. Here's to your service accommodation success, and remember, your future needs you. Take care.